Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Kurnia Rahman. My student's registration number is 185204101N1 and I'm from English Education A 2018. In this video, I'm going to present my draft thesis with title Self-Efficacy of English Department Students in Writing Bachelor Thesis. And then, before we start the presentation, let me say thanks for my supervisors. The first is Amirullah SPD MID PhD, and the second is Hairil Anwar Korompot MA PhD. And also, I want to say the honorable for my examiners. The first is Dr. Nuraini SPD MPD, and the second is Dr. Andes Ahmad Talib MPD. So, before going to the main part of this presentation, I'm going to show you the research question for my research. There are two research questions. The first is, what is the level of student self-efficacy in writing bachelor thesis? And the second is, how do the students improve their self-efficacy level in writing their bachelor thesis in English Department of State University of Makassar? And then, I'm going to show you the research method that I use in this for this research. In investigating the research topic, the researcher used a mixed method. The population of this research are UNM English Education students 2018 who are taking the bachelor's thesis course. The sample for this research is English Education A 2018. Because there are two research questions for this research, it means that the researcher used two instruments to collect the data. So the first instrument that was used in this research is a questionnaire. This research questionnaire aims to collect the data about the self-efficacy level of students in writing their bachelor's thesis of English Education 2018 at State University of Makassar. And then, for the second instrument, it's adapted from the phase and phase theory about improving self-efficacy by using the combination of the self-efficacy sources. The data of this instrument was collected by the interview session. And next, we move to the next slide. This is the main part of the presentation for this research. There are 4 points. The first is finding and discussion. These points refers to the chapter 4 for this research, and the point of conclusion and suggestion refers to the chapter 5 of this research. So let's start from the first point about finding. Okay, the finding for the first research question. There are 30 students of Makassar State University of English Education Department 2018 Class A who were used as the sample in this research. Based on the data analysis from the questionnaires and interview, it was found that there are 8 students who have high self-efficacy level with percentage to 26.7% out of the sample. Then there are 22 students who have medium self-efficacy level with percentage 73.3% out of the sample. This finding can be seen from the result of the online questionnaire. Okay, maybe you can see it on the table. Okay, next we move to the finding of the second research question. Based on the student's description in indirect interview, it's known that there are 4 ways to improve their self-efficacy level in writing their bachelor thesis. The first is learn from the mistake and always be positive. There are 6 students agree that to improve their bachelor thesis, they should learn from the mistakes in the past and think positive about the future. They assume that by learning from the mistakes that they have made, it will prevent them from making the same mistakes, and they will try to fix their weakness or things that made them fail in the past. So, after knowing their mistakes and weakness, they feel their confidence in their abilities will increase and be optimistic about getting better result. By believing that everything has wisdom in it and believing that every problem has a solution, it can give them spirit that everything will be okay. Those statements are collected from the first questions that reflects the mastery experience as the sources of self-efficacy. And next, we move to the second point about set someone's achievement as a model. There are 6 students agree that to improve their bachelor thesis, they should think that someone's achievement as a model. They think that the achievement by the others is good thing to be followed. They prefer to make the someone's achievement as their standard rather than comparing their obstacle. They tend to make a positive thing so that it can foster a confidence for writing their bachelor thesis. They feel more motivated than insecure about someone's achievement. The statements are collected from the second question that reflects the vicarious experience as the source of self-efficacy. And next, we move to the next point about the positive persuasion from others. There are 6 students believe that to improve their bachelor thesis, they just need to respond to positive persuasion from others. The verbal experience, experience or the verbal expression they get from the environment foster the spirit that they have, so that they can increase their confidence in their abilities. They believe that by responding the positive persuasion, it will bring them better. This is the evidence that the external components also can improve the someone's self-efficacy level. The statements are collected from the third questions that reflects the verbal and social persuasion as the source of self-efficacy. And next, we move to the last point about give self-reward. There are 5 students who believe that to improve their bachelor thesis, to improve their self-efficacy in writing their bachelor thesis, they should have self-reward as a form of rewarding themselves by doing things that they like or buying a thing that they want. According to them, they do the self-reward to overcome a bad mood during writing their bachelor thesis. There are various kinds of activities as a form of self-reward that they often do. They believe that by giving a self-reward, it will grow their confidence in their abilities. The statements are collected from the 4 questions that reflects the physiological effective as the source of the self-efficacy. And now, we are going to the second main part. It's about the discussion. Okay, the interpretation of findings connected to self-efficacy of English department students in writing the bachelor thesis is studied in this section. Self-efficacy has 3 aspects that can be used to measure the level of self-efficacy, and those aspects are the level of challenge or difficulty, generality, and strength. The researcher found that majority of students have a medium level of self-efficacy. The students with a medium level of self-efficacy are able to show the symptoms as the characteristic of self-efficacy as students who have high self-efficacy level than the symptoms of the students who has a low level of self-efficacy. So, the characteristic of students with the high and low self-efficacy. We can see it on the table. There are 6 points in the table, and we are going to the first point. The students with high self-efficacy tend to be active and trying to think the finest possibilities. But unfortunately, for the students with the low self-efficacy, most of them are passive. And next, students with high self-efficacy has a good self-control. They can take control of the situation by minimizing the obstacle. But for the students with the low self-efficacy, they don't, because they prefer to stay away from the demanding course and develop minimal dedication and low aspiration. And next, the students with the high self-efficacy can set specific goals and criteria. So, they can make a plan, prepare for it, and practice to make it happen. But unfortunately, for the students with the low self-efficacy, they only concentrate on the characters of problem. And next, for the students with high self-efficacy, when they already have a target, they will make an effort and stick with it, so that when they are in struggle, they can solve it with a new way. Okay, but for the students with the low self-efficacy, they don't even try to put an effort in it. And next, for the students who has high self-efficacy, if they fail to face the challenge, they will learn from the mistake. They always visualize the successful. But for the students with low self-efficacy, they give up with the situation. And for the last point, for the students with high self-efficacy, can still manage and keep stress to a minimum. But unfortunately, for the students with the low self-efficacy, they have excessive stress, sad, and anxiety. Then most of them always think to excuse for failing. Next, someone's self-efficacy can be increased or decreased. It depends with the situation that someone faces. Someone's self-efficacy can be changed to this based on the sources of self-efficacy, based on the Bandura theory. There are 4 sources of self-efficacy. The first is mastery experience. It's about the student's success in solving their problem. The second is vicarious experience, it relates to the achievement of others that are used as the motivation to get the self-efficacy. And the third is the verbal and social persuasion. This source has the greatest impact for the students who have some reasons to believe that they can produce effect through their action. And for the last is physiological effective. It sounds that students with a good physical and mood condition can increase their motivation and expectation of success. Then, there are 4 ways for students to improve their self-efficacy. The first is learn from the mistake and always be positive. The second is set someone's achievement as a model. The third is positive persuasion from others. And the last is give a self-reward. Okay, we are going to the next part about the conclusion. There are 2 conclusions here. The first is the level of student self-efficacy in writing bachelor thesis is in a medium level. So this point answer the question of first research question. And then for the second point, there are 4 ways that can be used for the students to improve their self-efficacy. The first is learn from the mistake and always be positive. The second is set someone's achievement as a model. The third is positive persuasion from others. And the last is give self-reward. Okay, so we're going to the last part about the main part of this presentation. It's about the suggestion. Okay, there are 2 suggestions here. The first is English education for the English education students of State University of Makassar who are writing their bachelor thesis. This research can be used as knowledge to introduce the term of self-efficacy, where the self-efficacy is very useful to improve the performance in writing a bachelor thesis. And the second is for the next researchers. For the other researchers who are interested in this topic, they may be able to investigate the correlation between self-efficacy and some aspect in English, like with reading or speaking. So, I think that's all from me. This is the last part or the last session of this presentation for my draft thesis. Hopefully you enjoy this video. And wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.